brothers and sisters, man, we're back at it. We're back at it one more time. I want to talk about the end of this year, going into next year, what people can start to really understand is what really happening. I always play the fly on the wall and then I give my analysis. No articles. We're just going to bring up what's going on and we're going to talk about how it pertains to us. So, number one, Kyle Rittenhouse, this whole trial. And then Ahmaud Arbery, quiet as kept. If we look at what's going on right now, this is going to set the tone. These two cases are going to set the tone for vigilante justice. Let me break down to you why. See, even though it didn't take place at the hands of a police officer, Kyle Rittenhouse was playing the role of someone who was deputized. So you could argue that he was a vigilante who, in his own mind, acted out vigilante justice. But the problem is that if they let him walk away, if they let the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery walk away, the calls for justice are going to be the same, just from different communities. You see what I mean? Because as the system is broken. Ever more people are getting to see how broken it is. And I do believe that next year will be a year where, just like this year was an unspoken amount of violence for the police, it could continue to rise or stay the same, or slowly decrease or whatever, right? But what's gonna happen in my mind, from what I can see from the buildup of all this tension, is there's going to be people to take the laws into their own hands. It's the only logical thing. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point, because what else do you do? What else is there to do if you're somebody who has a sound mind, right? They killed whoever. The courts are saying, based on these technicalities, we won't and we can't convict. A person is left to say, okay, well, I'll be damned. You committed a brazen act that your own actions brought about it. There's a case right now, I forget the state it's in, but two young boys got in, I want to say it's in Florida, and two young boys get into a shootout, and three police officers return fire to the wrong vehicle. Now, they kill a little girl, 9 years old. I can't think of baby girl's name right now. And, they say her family is West African immigrants. Like, that doesn't really matter to me, because, that's still their daughter. They still loved her, no different. So all that aside, but they put it off on the two young little black dudes who was trying to shoot it out. And they said that it's a preeminent cause or preeminent something. It's pretty much where what you do leads to, it's like preeminent, it's something intent, okay? It's pretty much where you do something and what you do causes for something else to happen. So it would be like you throw water on the floor and somebody walks on the water floor and doesn't know it's wet and they slip, fall, and bust their head. Right on? Like you knew that could happen to somebody. So why would you do that? Right? There's no way of telling. These two dudes who didn't kill baby girl, the police officers just thought it was the car and just fired on the car. As opposed to anybody, once again, don't want to charge them with the crime. This is why I can't say if it's going to get more dangerous or less dangerous for police when you have things like that still happening and people not seeing the tangible outcomes of it. Another reason for vigilante justice. And just in case you guys don't know what a vigilante by definition is a member or self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. So Just can't stand that bright ass light in my face. That's why it's never. That's why you can never. You know what I'm saying? Only when it's daytime can you see me. See me, right? I don't like it all being all bright on my eyes. I don't like that. That's not cool. But anyway, these two young dudes, teenagers, I want to say, now their lives are. I mean, they shouldn't have been shooting it out. No doubt. But from what I can tell, they didn't hurt anybody. Right? All they hurt was the air. If that can be hurt, you know. And at some point, people are going to just get sick and tired and fed up. I can only see people taking so much. You know, you have individuals who's encouraging folks to leave the city, go to the country. You got folks who are encouraging people to get out the country and come to the city to ply their trade. So you have diametrically opposed views there. Um, and between living in the rural life and living in the city life, the same sort of strife and turmoil exist in one form or another. So if you're a black person and you get accosted where you live and it's like a rural area, and let's say just, for example, you actually have proof of this happening to you. It's no different than when it happens to black people in the big cities. The only difference right now is that we don't know what kind of tragedy people have been struck with. You see what I'm saying? So I just I just really believe there's more people fed up than they're acting like. I hear a lot of folks say a lot of things all the time, and I'm just like, if they're feeling like this in Washington and there's a little bit of money out here, God knows how they're feeling somewhere else in the country where there's less money and there's just as much pent up uh, animosity, if you will, and the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. So between the inability for law enforcement to dish out justice blindly and just the poor decision making of individuals who clearly need to be a lot less rowdy and a whole lot more thoughtful. But you can't tell the wicked to do anything like that or the evil. So saying it is just a thought to have said it, but knowing that they won't practice it doesn't bring me any sort of discomfort. It just makes me to know that this is something that's true. The year of the vigilante may be silent. They may not want to tell us who's killing all these individuals when the truth comes out and when everything starts to really hit the fan. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going to happen to black people when it happens. I'm saying, you know, I don't know. I couldn't say. All I can do is bless the Most High God that I'm here and that I hope to continue to be here. Right on. So I just want y'all to know that you need to be careful. No matter where you live, even if you live on the eastern seaboard, you live in the south, southeast, southern central, southwest, whether you live in the north, northeast, northern central, northwest, right, or the Midwest, right? You see what I'm saying? Right? West Coast, all the way down, all that stuff. Wherever you live, you just need to be careful because there's going to be people who are tired, like, for example, folks who are tired of driving on the road in the fear of being shot at. Some of them are going to arm themselves, and there could potentially be more. Yeah, somebody shooting in the background. Anyway, there could be, fucking potentially be more vehicular homicides. You know, ain't never about to just sit here and get hit. I don't care what's going on. You know, but yeah, it's gonna be a year to behold. Law enforcement got their piece this year. They didn't tone it down and buckle down and chill out. What they decided to do was to pack it up and go home, a whole bunch of them, and blame the vaccine mandates for why they were doing it. But let me tell you this, quiet is kept. If there wasn't all this heat on the police, they wouldn't even care about the mandate. They would have been took the vaccine and got over it. They wouldn't even care. If they could, if it was business as usual, where we could kill a nigga, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. They wouldn't care about taking one of those vaccines. But they're not taking a vaccine that could potentially fatally do something to them or potentially have life changing consequences. And yet, if I go out here and I rough one of these niggas up who I think deserves it because he looked at me funny or he spit while I was, sitting in my patrol car and he looked like he was spitting at me or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Or he flicked me the bird or he pulled a fat wad of cash out of his pocket and flashed it. You know what I mean? Not knowing that this guy might have a real job and has pay stubs and all this. You never know the situation. Because black people don't be thinking all the time. They be on one. Sometimes they just be trying to high sign on people. That's not the way to go. So on top of there being, really, I think it's going to be a heightened level of. There's going to be a heightened level of frivolous caution, if that makes sense. People are going to be frivolously cautious. So you got to really, really, really pay attention. And then there's going to be the level of individuals who are looking to make encounters with people who are doing all the bullying on these streets. Because a lot of these dudes who are out here shooting at people, they're not getting caught. So, and it's the same ones doing it over and over and over again until they do get caught a lot of the time. That's how it normally works. So, like new shooters aren't just people just don't become new shooters every day. There's probably a new shooter who gets involved in a shootout or something like that, but they could be dead at the end of it. We're talking about individuals who go and perpetrate these crimes all over the U.S. from one city to another city to another city. They didn't been in shootouts in every city they didn't been inside of. And the shootouts being loosely because they might be the only ones shooting. You see what I'm saying? So just with that type of thing being the case, there's going to be more people who are on the lookout at trying to stop cats like that. They're like, we're tired of little punk ass niggas like you. Word, y'all coming up in here, y'all thinking that you run shit. You don't run nothing, little homie. Word, all you run is your mouth. And you can find out the hard way how 5.56 feel, how 7.62 feel, how them 40 cal things feel. Because you ain't the only one that can knock flesh off somebody. And there's cats who've been doing it way longer. They just really sat down and retired. It was like, was killing motherfuckers before this dude was born. So they didn't thought about. Word? You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes don't know. These dudes don't know. Like cats who really actually individuals who actually literally help create the military operations in urban terrain, on urban terrain, mount training. We're talking about individuals straight up from urbanite settings. They were heavily entrenched in showing people how to fight door to door in small places, how to go about those situations. They were a pivotal part of that. Right. A lot of people don't know this, right? They don't understand that it was the police, rednecks, and hood ass thug ass niggas, militant niggas who had Black Panther family members in their family who fought in Vietnam, people in their family who have been in World War II, Korea. You see what I'm saying? Like people who have been trained in basic combat and came back home and showed everybody how to shoot. Like there's a lot of that was going on, back in the day. That the quiet is kept. They don't talk about all that. And there's a lot of these individuals these dudes are 43, 44 years old. They're not going to wait for the next revolution. The revolution is not going to be televised like they used to say back in. It's not going to be televised. It won't be. It's not. No thing that is a change. No, just because they got a camera on it doesn't make it televised. Word? You feel me? Just because you got a camera on me doesn't make it televised. The revolution is not televised, y'all. So when these things are happening, a lot of it's going to be even more spur of the moment than the things that are happening now. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you really believe that a place like Texas that had hundreds of murders in all of their major cities last year, you think it calmed down that much, or you think they're just not reporting it the same? Something crazy going down in that state every day. It seemed like, you know, I'm just being 100,000. I'm being 100,000 with y'all. Place like Texas is on fire. They know it. People who live there know it, but really the officials who run everything knows that it's like, man, it's getting crazy here. But they don't want to talk about how the cartels are trying to make a push. Man, you're gonna see. Let the Hispanics do what they're going to do. You're going to see a lot more of them take matters into their own hands about situations that aren't being addressed by regular law enforcement. Because you're going to start to have these dudes from the cartel or who are, loosely affiliated with them. They're going to start to really get the blood back. It's going to be crazier than people think. And I have to tell y'all about it because I can't let you get caught with your pants down. When you start hearing these dudes talk about the Reconquista, right on, just know they believe in that. And they're talking about the new conquest, the reconquest. They're trying to take back pretty much everything that was either the so-called indigenous Mongol natives, right, who people consider Aztecs, and then also whatever was considered Spain's. So they have a hostile takeover in mind already. If y'all didn't know that, I'm telling you this. This is the kind of game that other people just don't have for you. They don't have it because they don't read enough. You know, you're gonna see more and more and more random killings by that community. I've just been seeing stuff lately, and it's always random. It's always at random with these guys. I just read one not too long ago. Young dude down there in California was a restaurant manager. Cats just roll up on him and asked him where he was from, and before he could even respond, they shot him up. Now, why I find that so crazy and so suspicious is because what if they knew who dude was? What if dude had lived a whole nother life that people never knew about, right on? And it just came back to get him at the worst time. That's very well what could have happened. What if it's just a case of mistaken identity? Then why wouldn't the dude's family be, why wouldn't, let's say somebody who is working a decent job, has a clean record, can get their hands on guns, why wouldn't they be driven to possibly go get their own justice if the police can't bring them to justice? Once again, the vigilanteism is about to jump all the way off. Black people already engage in vigilanteism, so it won't really increase amongst them, but you're going to see a lot of these other groups that have prided themselves pretty much letting somebody else get their hands dirty, they're going to start to get their hands dirty again, like their ancestors used to have to when they first got here, and like some of them still have to do now. And you're going to see a change in their mentalities when they have to actually go out here and do what they know must be done, because you can't allow for someone to continue to strike fear and terror in you and you do nothing about it, because you'll live in fear and terror for the rest of your days. And that's how that'll be. So I don't see a group of individuals who were taught that one of the core fibers and fabrics of this nation is the ability to defend yourself and stand up for yourself. Folks have to realize it, that it's not your choice to try and change what you pretty much don't control, what you have no sway over. Because at the end of the day, all you do is put forth energy, you exert it, and it has no use. So it's really a waste of your time and your efforts in a lot of different ways. And you would be better suited finding another activity where you could counteract whatever it is you're trying to counteract and do it successfully, as opposed to not doing it successfully. When folks get hit up next year, it's going to be people that we all know in a lot of these places. There's going to be, if the bloodshed was this bad this year, the only way the bloodshed would decrease is if they mandated lockdowns again out of nowhere, right? Or they had some kind of pseudo moment where they were able to bring down the inflation. They were just giving away money, There were jobs were just, giving away bonuses. Everybody's just taking the L to eventually take a dub. And that's just not gonna happen. It's not realistic. It's not how they set up their businesses to work. Their businesses weren't set up with the Jubilee in mind, which would be every 7 years you delete all debts so that way you can start over fresh. They don't do that. So people carry debt their whole entire life. It's unnatural and it doesn't make sense. That being said, though, many of them are given second chances, or via whatever group defaulting on the debt for them, saying, you know what, uh, we'll take the loss here. Where Joe Blow Schmuckatelli looks like he needs a second chance, right? And maybe there was a misunderstanding about the parameters of what he was supposed to do with these funds, blase, 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 or however the situation plays out. But they'll always get a chance. They've always had a chance here, but that's that's fake make believe land. Once again, that's fake it world. That's not real. What's probably going to happen is inflation is going to keep getting worse. They don't have a way of bringing down these prices for nothing. So what you're going to see is the only way prices go down for certain domestic goods is if other people produce them. Right. And that would take whole small communities saying, hey, look, this area used to be known for rock candy. Like, let's say a place like Maine, right? Let's say rock candy is not doing so hot out there. And I don't see why it wouldn't be doing good. Rock candy is delicious. So, rock candy, Maine rock candy. And let's say a place out there that's producing it is doing really bad right now. It it would be it would be wise, it would behoove the inhabitants of that city or that town to put up all their dollars to get whatever they need fixed, and get whatever they need procured, so that way they can do what they need to do and continue to produce rock candy nationwide and worldwide that people love. You know what I mean? That's like almond roca. Almond roca is made out here. Just in case y'all didn't know that and they never heard of almond roca, it's pretty good. And I couldn't imagine, once again, the people in Tacoma, as loosely as I use that term, I couldn't imagine all of them allowing Almond Roca to just go out of business, especially if Almond Roca was like, we need $2 million donated just to keep this thing going because this has been that terrible for us. The people would do that. The people would do that. They would give them 2 million and continue to buy their products. So, but that's the thing though. It's not going to happen in places like that because everybody wants to be the one to come out on top. Everybody wants to be the one to win, as opposed to, this is why their whole ideas of what they believe is communal living is unrealistic and it's untenable because not one of them wants to play uh, uh, the same fiddle. We're all second fiddle. Nobody's the first. Nobody's the first string. We're all second string here. So, and nobody wants to hear that. You know what I'm saying, nobody's the number one, piece of instrument here. They're all number two, and nobody wants to be in that position. So it's never going to change, and that's why the frustration is going to maintain itself and it's going to stay where it's at because you don't have enough people who are going to willfully come together to say we need to be able to just endure whatever's going to happen. And if this one industry can keep us and carry us, then we need to keep this industry alive. And there's once again the willpower of the individual person may be there, but the actual group is not there because to sustain the effort, it takes logistical know-how. You have to feed people, house people. People have to be able to get rid of the bodily waste. They need to be comforted. They need to have comfort items. They need to have provender. There's just so many things that need to be done in order for a goal to actually be met that everyone feels like, okay, this is worth doing. Because if you don't have anything and all you're working on is a dream and a promise and a hope, how long until that dream and that promise and that hope fall short of the expectation of all those who have given themselves unto that dream and expectation and that hope? Right. That's plain and simple. So the best way I could put it is like this. When the people who came out of Egypt, who had spoiled the Egyptians, took all the silver, all the gold stuff that they had, all the nice articles. And Moses and Aaron were like, look, we need y'all to give what you got. Of all the people, rich and poor, blah, 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 blah. Because everybody's life in Egypt was different. Some folks were living pretty good in Egypt. Just like there's people who are living pretty good right now in America, there was people who were living pretty good there. And we have to look at it like that, and say, okay, these individuals took what little bit they had and they put it all in the pot so that way they could actually get something from it, you know. And it's really just that simple. Big ups, bro. Big ups, brother. I pray all is well, Leonard Yuta. I really do. And you know, I'm just talking about, bro. This next year is gonna be crazy, man. People got to start paying attention and looking out. It's gonna be a long year because it just is. But as I was saying about the people giving what they had to Moses for him to build the tabernacle of witness, all these things were given and they were used to do the right thing with, you know, which is to build a house where in which the actual spirit of God could come and manifest itself and live. And so we don't have people who can even understand that in order for us to make it, in order for anything to be okay, everybody would have to come together on some accord and say, okay, we actually need this. You know what I'm saying? You know, we actually need for these things to happen. Peace, man. Peace. 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 I hope everything is all right with you. Yes, Charlotte. But yeah, this next year is gonna be a fire year, man. I'm just letting people know. I got a couple more minutes left in me, but I just had to speak it out of my mind and out of my heart so that way folks understand like the things that they want to believe in are just not real. People aren't going to come together and start to suffer together and, pretty much don't take more than they need and more than they're going to give. No, you 100, bro. They won't. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. I contend nothing against that. They won't have a choice soon, but it's the fact that they're going to fight against that. Okay, so I'm not I'm not even going into scripture about how so many women will attach themselves to one man, whether that be loosely or exclusively, right? I don't know if it's going to be seven women who are swappable or you know what I mean, come in and out of his life, or if it's just seven straight up women. But even if you look at it from a point of view like that, we still have to say that those women understand that they need that man. We're at a position where women don't feel vulnerable enough, right? Like there's just not enough going on where there's not a man available where they can actually see it like that. Yeah, well, after I finish my points, we can talk about the Bible, brother. But for right now, I got to do my thing. And as far as what I believe in, I believe that all the books are there for whatever purpose. But I believe that the laws of Moses trump anything and everything. And if what is being said does not support the laws of Moses, which were given to him by God himself, then I cannot support what is being said. If what is being said is unclear and therefore causes confusion to the reader, bringing its merit into question, I have to leave it be until I have my own understanding. But having said that, next year is going to be a rough year for people. It's going to be a tough year for people because nobody's going to be able to not realize what they have to do, which is you're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to want to come together. You can't want to team up when it's too late. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to want to team up when it's relevant and when it's still good for everybody to get their piece and to get, what's good for them. Uh, for example, as opposed to neighborhoods waiting for murders to get out of hand, what I would do if I lived in Chicago and I was the mayor of Chicago, I would literally take about $1 million, maybe 1.5 million. I'd get 10 veterans. Okay, that's $150,000 each for the whole year. Okay, this money is all you're gonna get all year. So you're gonna legally. So if you get found out to be doing some shady shit, you're going to prison. But your job is going to be to procure and make safe some of the most dangerous places in the whole entire city. Right on? We drop out leaflets like we do everything else. I just drop out some leaflets all over Chicago and let people know this group will be patrolling this area. All who are within this area at a given time, right, engaging in a certain activity, will be treated in an indiscriminate manner, right, as so what is written per ordinance for them. So it's not their job to go out there and stop guys from selling dope. But if you want to shoot at somebody because you feel like he shorted you, as opposed to being smart and waiting for these guys to leave, right? That means you're gonna have to wait all the way till tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow you might not want to kill him. Right. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna give you some time to actually be smart about it, because if you pull out that thumper and you just start letting it go, you don't know where it's gonna come from. It might come from a crossbow, it might come from a rifle, it might come from somebody just walking up and just splashing you down with a sword. You don't know how it's gonna come. So your best bet is just to be cool. Because the last thing you want to find out is one of these dudes you've been kicking it with all day is really one of these agents at the security agency, and they have their eye on you because you're known for pulling out guns and shooting at folks, killing them. They said, "Don't worry, we got something for that." That's what it takes. It takes a group of individuals who go out there knowing that they could lose lives, but at the same time, we're going to put an end to indiscriminate violence because they're going to be afraid that there's going to be somebody to do something about it. Because a lot of the time, what happens, I'm going to tell y'all why a lot of the vigilante justice is going to take place. Most of these guys who shot at somebody were shooting at people who couldn't shoot back. Okay? That's normally how it goes. Most of the time, when these guys have a gun, the other person does not have a gun. So not only does that make you look like a coward, right? But whatever the issue is, unless you're telling me that this person raped somebody that you love and care about, right on, or that they violated your woman, right? Or they tried to violate you, or they tried to kill you. Look, I can't tell you how to feel about those type of things. All I can say is that if you do that in front of these guys, it could cost you way more than it's worth. So, because there's no groups like that all over the country, where it's just black veterans running around patrolling, all these dudes would feel way differently. Way differently. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, but they ain't gonna let you burn down the Mason temples. There's too many. The same dudes that we're talking about have to be used. A whole lot of them are Masons, right on. So they're not doing what they. So we're not expecting them to be all God-fearing, stand-up individuals. What we're expecting is for them to adhere to discipline. And if they can do that, then maybe there's a chance that they can change their heart. But a lot of the guys that we would need for something like this, they're already masoned up. Uh, I met a lot of guys who were in the military who were Masons, believe it or not, and they weren't always black. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you already know you already know they're conjuring up black flames and stuff like that. We know that. We know that they're conjuring up black flames. We know that. But uh, they do that so that way they can bring death into the city. There's a whole bunch of those Chicago rappers who who've been accused of doing the same stuff. And it doesn't matter if they say they're Masons. If you participate in a Mason ritual, in a Mason spell, you're no less a Mason than you're no less the heathen, to say the least, than they are, for sure. So, you know, like like a whole lot of guys, like, like I'll tell people, like, yeah, man, like these guys are not on my level, right? Dudes would be like, oh man, you're a Mason. I'm like, no. They're like, that's what they always say. I be forgetting that stuff though. Or I forget that, right, that they have levels to what they do. Word. But I'm just talking my regular, but I'm like, that's right, meet you've been inundated with this stuff your whole life. Because they're the ones who run this country. Quiet as kept. The Illuminati is a yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can't prove okay, so here's the problem. Here's the problem though. If you say that about them, they can say, well, you use sorcery and technology. Are you no less the witch or the wizard than I am? You see what I'm saying? That's where it gets, that's where the water is muddy, and we have to hold our hand on the violence for something like that, because it's like, am I going to kill myself because I'm on the internet right now? Of course not. But do I understand that this also is not, you feel what I'm saying, bro? I don't not agree. I agree with you, but I'm just saying that the way that they're going to spin that is how we live right now. This is why I'm always harping on the fact that we're constantly using the same sorcery that these evil ones are using. And the only difference is that they use these things with the intent of harming us. We use these things because they force us to have them. A job will force you to have a smartphone. That will be a prerequisite in order to get the job, so that you have to have a smartphone. You see what I'm saying? So these companies and all these places, all these jobs are all just as much involved in sorcery, uh, as just because we're not cutting chickens open doesn't mean that they don't have us doing something that we ain't got no business doing. Of course, bro. Of course, bro. Of course. But we can't deny our own being complicit to knowing. So it's, once again, I could throw this laptop out the window right now and end the stream like that, just looking completely crazy. But my sound mind tells me that it's easier and it's better for me to leave this message here, to put the message here. And also, when we speak like this, it also gives people the chance to see that we have to know that that's how they want us to feel. They want us to, that would be that's what they would want us to do, is to burn down all the Mason temples and to do this and do that, just so that way they could try, because everything that we're saying is being done to us, they don't want us to do back, but we have to do it back. But that's the thing about the vigilanteism is, where will black people stand, bro? Word? You got too many people who want to be Muslims. I ain't lying. You got too many brothers and sisters who want to be Muslims. You got too many brothers and sisters who want to be Egyptians. Then you got the Nuwabians. Then you got, I don't know what the difference between these Egyptian type dudes and the Hotep dudes. It's all the same to me. Uh, uh, you got other guys who want to be Sumerian or Phoenician, right? You got all these different individuals. Some of them even want to be Babylonians, right? Chaldeans. So I don't I don't knock the notion that we need to work together, and that we actually should get rid of the evil ones. The only problem is that how many of the evil ones are lurking within us, bro? You see what I'm saying? How many of them are within the ranks right now? And I'm not talking about us here. I'm talking about in the general populace of Afro Nigs, and just Nigs in general, Negroids Incorporated. When we look at that, we have to start saying, okay, how many of them we're surrounded at all times, bro. That's my point right there, is that we could try to do the right thing, but we would end up fighting a battle against a foe greater in number than us, And suffice it to say, their witchcraft is powerful. Word? Because one hit from their witchcraft can end it all. Not to say that a sword is not witchcraft. A sword is witchcraft, but it's a different kind of witchcraft. Even an arrow, it, you are forced to be physically engaged with the traditional archery system and with the traditional sword fighting system. Any sort of weapon of war forced you to physically engage. They have created weapons where they do not have to physically engage very much, and they are able to achieve maximum damage. You know, oh, of course, bro. But that's their job. Okay, getting to what Brother Yasha Harless said, right? He asked me what books do I believe in. But the 5 books that we already know where I'm going. The books that I really depend on to give me all that I have, all that I tell y'all about that comes from the deepest parts of my soul, come out of the first 5 books of the scripture. And we have too many people who are they're against what's written there because a certain part of their life they're doing something they shouldn't be. I'll give you a prime example. We tell somebody you shouldn't eat swine. They'll tell you what Paul said to pray over the food, right? You tell somebody that you shouldn't eat shrimp and you shouldn't eat lobster, and they'll tell you, I'm a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Right? They'll tell you that. They'll tell you that they're whatever the thing is that you bring up to them, like, oh, for example, you shouldn't sleep with a mother and a daughter, or you shouldn't sleep with 2 women at once. They're gonna try to come at you with some 2021 nonsense, like, I'm just living my life. Oh, God will forgive me, but they don't realize like one of those is punishable by death, and the other one is punishable by permanent banishment. So, and one of them you get cut off from the people, and then the other one they take your life and they burn you at the stake. They burn you to death. Right. Like brother Jeremy said, brother JP Hope, he said, hey, he said, Demetrius, he said, I really think that the term destroyed means something other than killing them. He said, because when they talk about the giants and burying them low, he said they destroyed them. He said, I think they burned them up. And he could very well, that to me, that sounds very sound. Right on? It sounds very sound. Right. Because you're supposed to destroy the wicked. Yeah. Oh, that's how we do it, bro. But we're supposed to do the right thing when we're vibing, right? You know what I'm saying? Like as opposed to me and you both knowing that, like you said, we're surrounded. So we have more enemies than not around us. So that means that when the time comes, we have to be more cautious of the vigilanteism than other individuals, because these same folks will seek to take out their uh their long held indignation on us, right? This stuff that's just been building up and building up and building up, and it's at a crescendo, and it has to be released. And that's the unfortunate thing about us being the kind of people that we are, because you know, bro, bro, you laughing, man, but this is the truth, brother. This is what is coming. How much longer do you think these police are gonna let folks bully them, right? It would be so much easier if black people felt like there was a real group that actually, okay, you know what? Get rid of the police. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of the police. Get all the way rid of the police. And I'll answer that question about Revelation in a moment. Get all the way rid of the police and disband them and disbar them and take that money and get those same black veterans, Boulay, Mason, whatever, right? And we're signed in contracts. See, I didn't say this part, but the part that I have to is called the death contract. It's where if your actions are inexplicable and they lead to the serious injury or loss of life of another, your life in turn is put up and put forth for that life. No questions. It would demand the highest levels of discipline, highest levels of discernment. Body cameras worn at all times. These guys are on their best behavior. They don't start anything, they only finish it. Okay? They don't make excuses, they make it happen. We would have far more people, and it's not nothing to be proud of. We would have far more people who would die in the field than who would die of a death penalty for being reckless with a gun. It's not a contract, brother. It's an oath. It's different. It's different. It's an oath. It's an oath. You speak that. You speak those words. Those words would be known. You don't have to. You don't have to put no blood print or nothing like that. The self-driving cars scare me, bro, because they can't drive already. And now the car is going to make the decision. There's going to be a lot more pedestrian homicides via vehicle, when they really put the self-driving things out there a lot. It's just too dangerous, bro. It's just way too dangerous. And you and I both know it. You know, you and I both know that those things are truly the devil. Because if the car can think for you, why can't they make something that thinks for you in real life? Makes all your decisions for you. Right. Like virtual world. Yeah, 2025. Look, between 2024 and 2027, something gonna pop off. But I'm I'm willing to be off a year or so in my predictions. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because the stuff be happening. But the book of Revelations, real fast, right? Okay. Do I believe in it? Do I believe what is written there is written there? Yes, I believe it's written there. Do I believe and take it to verbatim being true scripture that I should follow? No. Because, like I explained, if you actually watched any of my old videos, I'll probably have to try to find the links for them. But in one of them, where I break down Revelations pretty well, and I just show all the different times, and it brings up the beast. I give you a prime example. Revelation tells us of people getting these signs in their foreheads and in their hands, but then it says that the sign of the chosen, that they have a mark on their foreheads too. And I'm like, so the confusion that's wrought upon that part alone is great. And then, and give me 1 second later, Yuda. And then once you start to think about the fact that John of Patmos, the actual John, is the one who's given this vision. Well, I thought he got his head cut off. So we're supposed to believe John over Enoch. I'm sorry, man. Enoch said, "No man shall see as I have seen." And this is thousands and thousands of years before there was even a Messiah thought about. Right on. And because the Messiah himself doesn't declare any of these things while he yet lived. And when he came back, he made it clear that he had power in earth and in heaven. So I just feel as if when we talk about the book of Revelations, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, can you identify where Philadelphia is at in Asia? Because I can't, I don't know where it's at. What, Listeria, any of these places, right? Can you find where they're actually at and then dictate these things? Because we're supposed to believe that angels and this, that, and the other do this. So let me see. 2025 is when they want all car converted or swapped out. They're already passing laws to run it now. Oh, bro, those that's see, once again, that is how they do it. But it's okay because those are the only kind of cars that you can for sure take off. You can for sure cut them off and turn them on as you please. They have a chip in it. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, whoever owns those car companies has all control over all those vehicles, and they have control over the vehicles to the actual individual vehicle car itself. That alone should concern people, but it doesn't. Uh, and they think that the technology is supposed to prevent and make it impossible for those things to collide with one another and to do all that. But that stuff is all the devil, man. I mean, they're trying to make it to where They have trucks that drive themselves on the freeway full of cargo and stuff like that, and all kinds of, I mean, can you think about, can you imagine AI driving itself in bad weather, and it doesn't, it's not a person or a peopleoid, it's not no Gentile or nothing. It's a robot. All it is electronic senses trying to come to the best and compute the most logical reasoning, where somebody else might have the sense to say, okay, I'm going to crash into these cars, all 10 of them, to prevent jackknifing and totally crushing 30 cars. Does the computer know to do that? I don't know. But it's that sort of thing where, I don't want to be on the road with them. I don't want to, because I don't want to find out. I don't want to find out what that's like. But that's just ways to keep trying to get rid of people, though. You know, uh, they got one of these food companies got a robot that they're trying to work on to deliver food. It's just crazy. Anyway, they're doing the most. But vigilanteism, vigilanteism. Let me go ahead and ask you this, Yasha Harla. Yasha Harla, has it ever dawned on you that the Book of Revelations doesn't talk about mass violence? It doesn't talk about mass bloodshed. Has that ever does that not bother you at all? That even though you know that this earth has been filled with blood before, does that not bother you? Yeah. Not Cactus Jack. Man, not him, man. Not Dude Love driving in the winter. Not that guy. You know what I'm saying? No, bro, you can't make this shit up. But the shite, the shit, yeah, you can't make none of it up, okay? It is terrible. But that's where they want us to be, right? And once again, bro, this year is going to be a terrible year for a lot of folks. There's going to be a lot of people who lose a loved one to some sort of violence that, for all intents and purposes, normally that would have never happened to them. Like, like they kept to themselves. They never were affiliated with nothing like that, as far as anybody knows. Uh, I always believe that the sins fall onto the children of the third and fourth generation. So, and I don't normally apply that to Gentiles. I normally just apply that to us, because if that applied to them, then they wouldn't have generational wealth. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I know that the curses don't apply to them, because their children's 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 children have had money. So that's how you know that it's fake, and that they're not cursed, but we're cursed, because a black person can make it happen in their life. And this is why Solomon told people that everything is vanity and vexation, because pretty much a person can work their whole life to make it happen just for your family to pretty much, squander everything that you ever worked for. So it's vain. Everything you do is in vain, because you can't guarantee that the next generation after you is going to have the same inclination to do what you did. There's going to be a lot of people who find out next year that they're not built for this stuff. They're not built for the long haul, and they're not built for it tough. Excuse me. And that's really too bad, because I do believe that some of them were meant to make it before, and they may have done something just in this recent last year where the Most High God is like, you know what, I'm cutting them off. I'm done with it. Next year they will suffer greatly, or next year he's going to just take them all the way out, because he's tired of their ways. He's like, I'm tired of them. I'm tired of how they're double dealing. I'm tired of how they're not really appreciative. You know, heard that, bro. Heard that. Never knew that. See, you learn something new every day. Right on. Learn something new every day, bro. That's how it's supposed to be. You know, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised though, bro. I'm not surprised. You know, and let's just talk about something like that real quick, bro. Because that was a deep situation. What happened with Travis Scott? I can't really feel bad for him. I feel bad for the people. you know, uh, but at the same time, I have to levy the responsibility on those that involve themselves in that sort of music scene. Cause that's just, I mean, I've always known that the WWE is demonic. Word, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the characters are named crazy names, you know. That's rough, ain't it? Paid to get paid to get killed. That's like a masochist club or something like that. But that's what you might as well be at, going to a place like that where these dudes have all these dark, demonic innuendos in their songs, right? And he's talking about, they said that, he didn't know what had happened and all that stuff. I'll say it like this. Yeah, there's no way I could have paid to get crushed to death, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But do people understand how much money you're going to get off of 50,000 people? Word? Millions, for sure, just in tickets alone. Millions. So, because if each ticket was just $10, that's 500,000. So if they're $100, that's 5 million. So if you're just averaging them out, let's just say the average ticket was $100. That's 5 million alone at the gate on the tickets. That's breaded, bro. Breaded. Cha-ching. Yeah, all that. Yeah. And once again, that's not no pocket watching or none of that. That's just basic economics and understanding how things work. So if the average price was more than $100, then amplify that times whatever that number. But that's what I'm saying though. If the average price was $100, it's $5 million right there alone at the gate alone. So, and that's just this show for a couple nights. And if you're all telling me that he wasn't gonna get at least a cool million out of that, you're lying to yourself. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. But this dude literally had those folks to get together. And like Andre Wickham said something really important, bro. We talked about it. He said it's really BS that the media will try to force us to believe that, oh, it's just a bunch of weirdos with a what you call it, man, conspiracy theorists, right? It's all baseless conspiracy theories about satanic rituals. Okay, here's the thing. They were there. A lot of these individuals have watched videos about the Illuminati and all kinds of stuff for years and years. Watch videos about how demonic the music industry is for years and years. The same ones paying for these tickets. So when they see the stuff playing out in real life, they're like, "Oh shit, this is really happening." They said that dudes was running around injecting cats with drugs and just caused a mass hysteria. The brother who dropped his son, he got poked with a syringe in his neck, and he said he dropped his son, and the son fell, and he got trampled in the stampede, and he never recovered. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, they can say whatever they want to say, man, but I wasn't there, and for the people who were there, I'm not going to undermine them. Yeah, bro. I mean, but that's how they do it, though. That's the move, man. That's the move, bro. They do it right in front of you and don't want you to know what they're up to. And if you ask them, "Is this what you're up to?" They'll just say, "No, I'm doing something else," or they'll lead you away. They'll show you something else different. But that's how they were geared to doing these things, bro. It's not going to be no different than next year. There's going to be some sweet nothing said to the people. And if the people eat it up and gobble it up, they're going to be let down. And there's going to be a whole lot of folks who seek justice on their own. You can only get so much letdown before you say, you know what? I'll seek out my own justice. Right. How hard is that, y'all? How hard is it to say I'm going to seek out my own justice? Right. Because you know that's what that you know they don't want that, right? You know that's they don't want none of that. So I can only imagine if any of the chosen are forced into a situation where they feel like they have to avenge the blood of someone that they love, right? Who has been playing it patient, has been tolerant, right? Okay, hey man, look, bro. You know I don't be all on the. I try not to overload my sensories with all that stuff. They got a lot going on. They got a lot. They got a lot going on. You know, autocorrect is garbage because sometimes it just puts words that you never wanted to put. It'd be on some bullshit. But yeah, man. Seriously talking though, bro, I can't imagine what it's gonna be like to be a person who has been like, you know what, I haven't been doing nothing to nobody, I haven't been bothering nobody, I've been following the rules, and a beloved family member, um, a beloved whomever that I care about a lot was taken in an unrighteous fashion, and the police are saying that they have no leads. That's when people become their own private detectives. That's when people become their own private investigators. That's when people become their own judge, jury, and executioner all in one. You see what I'm saying? And if you if you twist someone's heart enough and you make their heart turn crooked, right? You know, you will see what that person really has inside of them that they've been keeping at bay and what they've been hiding from everyone. And it might not be what anyone wants to actually deal with. You know, it's easy to believe that, oh, the police are like, okay, well, we're going to bring this person to justice. Okay, they wait 2 or 3 months, don't nothing happen, but they put their own ear to the ground this whole time, and they kind of got an idea what's going on. They've been saving their money, they've been putting money away, they've been slowly looking like, okay, do I want to move my family out of state when I do this? Do I want to just send them to go stay with my mama? Am I gonna have to kill like 10 of these niggas to get this stuff done? It's gonna be some crazy stuff happening in these neighborhoods where, you know, just like this year, there was a whole lot of shootings where there would be a shooting at one place and a shooting not too far from that place, and then another shooting somewhere in like the middle of the area. It's because people are instantly retaliating, you know. So the retaliation will be at an all-time high next year. I really do believe it. A lot of these young dudes who've been getting away with killing folks because they're real young, and dudes is like, man, he'll learn, bro. You know, and cats is like, nah, bro, he killed a good dude. There's gonna be a lot of folks who are willing to go to the deep end to get justice because they don't see any justice playing out. You know, uh, there's some demonic ass rappers all out there, but some of them, demonic or not, say some things that totally make sense. You know, like Plies, who was a faker, and Plies in one of his songs, he said, "A pussy ass crackers give a nigga 100 years," right? And that's the truth. There's a lot of brothers out here getting broke off with time that doesn't even make sense. The time doesn't fit the crime. There was a brother that I just read about not too long ago. He spent 24, almost 25 years of his life in prison. And he's just now about to be exonerated for the crime. And now he could potentially get up to $750,000, right, for his suffering, $750,000, which for 20 something years ain't nothing. Man, that's like, what is that? Like 35,000 a year, something like that. 33,000 a year. It's not even that much money, y'all. Word? It's not that much money. I really think it's like 35,000 a year. They're like, oh, that's plenty money. That's more money than people. No, no. You take that kind of time from some. You don't know what he could have been doing with his time. You don't know how much money he would have made. So for them to base it out on this is the average income of a North Carolinian, right? And we just, for the last decade, this has been the average income. So we're going to pay you what it's been for the last decade. Fuck that. Pay me what's righteous. A trillion. See, I'm telling y'all, man. How long until brothers like that step up to the plate? How long until they get tired of seeing it happen? Yeah, you want to live your life. Yeah, you want to help change things. But you know what? Change happens overnight. Okay? Change happens in singular moments. It doesn't take some great, it doesn't take a great buildup to a moment for change to happen. Change happens just like that. God wanted the sun and the moon, he made it happen. Just like that. So I know that they're not going to get me to believe or convince me otherwise to seeing it like that. And I know for a fact that we're going to see something that we've never seen before. It's coming. You know, I'm not just talking about cats uh, uh, jumping about the middle of the planet or something like that. I'm talking about, right here, right now on the earth, we're going to see a lot of crazy, crazy things that have never been seen before. And it's meant to happen. The violence is meant to increase. These things are written in books that were written before the flood. So as we live in the remote generation, as we wait for the Most High God to come back and to bless us with his stern, righteous, fair, and just blessings, we have to now get to see that manifest or manifold destiny that we have with the wicked, because I believe that we are the righteous. I believe that that's why there's so few of us. Even if there was way more of us, we would still be few. And because there's so few of us now, I believe that the people I'm dealing with, I'm not going to say we're guaranteed a chance at salvation. I just think that we have a greater chance because we actually believe in something greater than ourselves, number one. And number two, we do the best that we can to stick to the script. So we're not going to try to change what is already perfect. The laws of Moses are perfect. Us who practice the laws are not perfect. And when we can come to that conclusion and then grow from there, then we can go from there. But we can't have that dialogue until people realize that, okay, I can't judge the law on the basis of my imperfection. I have to accept the law on the basis of its true perfection and what is meant to represent. And once I can get to a level where I can even appreciate that, then what it represents will be shown in the truest and best fashion. Man, I bless y'all just for listening to it, brother. I really do. I think we're at that point where I'm just about to be done in a couple seconds. But we must really look forward to the bad times. We have to know that they're coming. We have to not grit our teeth and smile, but we have to count the suffering as joy because we know that at the end of the suffering does come a great reward and a great benefit to those that have not deviated, that have not betrayed the Most High God, that have not despised and hated him, but have leaned on him and have put all of our faith in him. I'm not going to try to save myself, right? I'm not going to try to flee from the city when I'm not being persecuted, right? I'm not being persecuted in Tacoma. So why would I flee from Tacoma? If I was being persecuted here heavily, I would leave. But I'm not right now. But I am thinking about leaving Washington in general, you know, just not today. But I am thinking about it because it's been on my mind. And there's some things that I want to go to the South and I want to do in the South, in particular in a place like Alabama, you know, where my father's from. So there's some things that I've that are going through my mind, and I can travel to Alabama uh, by car. I can just wait till the proper time of year, and I can just drive there if I have to. But if as long as I don't have to be vaccinated to get on the plane, then it's all good. But I'm not gonna worry about none of this stuff. I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. I want y'all to just keep chilling, keep holding tight, because God is gonna bless us. He sees our struggle. Like I tell everybody that I work with who looks like me and you, I tell them, I say, God sees our struggle. I say, God sees your struggle. Don't worry about it. He sees your struggle. I know He sees your struggle. As long as you know that I know that you have a struggle, no matter what I say right here, no matter what you guys think, but no matter what anyone thinks I feel towards any one thing, just know that I know that you have a struggle. And whether your struggle is the same as mine, or greater than mine, or lesser than mine, or whatever, or the same as mine, it doesn't matter, because a struggle is a struggle. And what is great and mighty to one is feeble and weak to another. And what is feeble and weak to another is great and mighty to one. So somebody might be okay with not being able to have children. Another person might be totally devastated by that. One person might be okay with being rich and they can live with themselves. Another person might feel eternal guilt, eternal shame. You know what I'm saying? Internal guilt, internal shame, whatever you want to say. Or they could feel the forever guilt, like they never feel good about themselves. But I just want you guys to know that I know that you have a struggle. Don't let your struggle spill over into you becoming the vigilante next year. Right on? Because there will be people who look just like us who will become the victim to vigilante justice and will be the perpetrators of vigilante justice. And we just need to just be aware of that and keep ourselves out of harm's way. I salute y'all, family. I really do. I salute you again. And I salute you a third time. I appreciate every modicum, iota, scintilla of time that you have given to me. I pray that this has been as beneficial for you as it has for me. We need to be careful going into the immediate future. And even though I know that the new year doesn't start until next spring, the year of these whom we live upon, their year starts in January. So we must honor this so that way we can understand when these things come. Having said that, I bless you. May tomorrow be better than today, and may next week be better than the last. I love y'all. It's been a blessing, and we will do this again soon.